Good morning and welcome to Beat the Number. My name is Abby. This is the NBA Morning Edition. We're here to discuss with you the latest moves for the totals, the over-unders, and the latest moves for the point spread. Again, thank you for joining me. We're trying to get ahead of these numbers as quickly as we can, so that's what we're doing the morning edition. First game we're going to look at, Boston at Cleveland. Cleveland is -2, and the total's 235. Right now we're looking at 237. 236s are out there, but they're starting to get to 237. And the line right now we're seeing 1.5. Cleveland down to 1.5. So we're going to look into this game further. First off, we'll check the injury report. First thing we're going to do in this game for Boston and Cleveland before we check the head-to-head matchups. So first, on the Boston side for the Celtics, they're injury-free Boston Celtics. Cleveland, Dean Wade out indefinitely. Isaac Okoro downgraded to being out for the game. So we'll get to the game itself, the marquee game of the night. Cleveland and Boston. So look into this one further. So we'll see here. Cleveland, Boston. So they have played twice already. Last year, November, beginning of the season. November 19th, they played. This was in Boston. Boston was a 6.5 point favorite. Cleveland covered and won 120 to 117. The total at that time was 234. It went over. Second game was in Cleveland, December 1st. Cleveland was a 1.5 point favorite at home. Total was 228.5. Cleveland won by 4, 115, 111. It was under 228. So this game here, it's gone to 236.5. Boston, 7-3 last 10 games against other opposition, 4-6 against the spread, 6-4 to the over. Boston's won 3 straight games. They've only covered 1 out of the 3 games. They are on a 3-game road trip. This is the 3rd game of the road trip. Trying to sweep the road trip, the overall road trip. Trying to get a sweep. So 4-1 last 5 games. Boston is 4-1 to the over, and 2-0 to the over so far on this trip. Cleveland, 6-4 last 10, 6-4 against the spread, 7-3 to the over. Cleveland's won 4 straight games, and they've covered all 4 games. And they are 4-1 to the over. Well, the only way to look at this game is over. Over 236.5 is the only way to play this game. That's the way I'm going to play it. Both teams are on that trend right now. So I believe this is a TNT matchup on Tuesday. So with this TNT matchup, I expect some fireworks and some offensive explosions from both teams. So I like the over in this game, 236.5. Then let's play on the side. I just like Cleveland here. I just like the over, over the total. Next game, Dallas at Philadelphia. Philadelphia, 1-point favorite. Total 224. Right now, this is going to 225.5. On the Dallas side, Max Christie. He was upgraded in the trade. I believe he's going to make his debut in a Dallas uniform against Philadelphia. Let's see here. Yes, he is. Max Christie will make his debut tonight. He will be playing at Philadelphia. Anthony Davis, still out. Abdominal injury. Kyrie Irving will be available Tuesday. Despite his shoulder, he's going to be playing. Dwight Powell ruled out with a hip injury. Derek Lively II out indefinitely. On the Philadelphia side for the 76ers, Philadelphia, we see Paul George ruled out with a finger injury. Joel Embiid, let's see this one here. This is the interesting one. All of a sudden, he's been upgraded to questionable to play Tuesday versus Dallas. Caleb Martin, questionable with a groin injury. Eric Gordon, questionable to play Tuesday at Dallas. Andre Drummond, told, questionable to play. And Jared McCain out. My guess is that Embiid's going to be playing in this game. I think he will finally suit up this month to play, to make his return. I think he does play. How many minutes is he going to play? I don't know, in terms of the minutes, but he will be playing in this game. That's my guess. He's going to play. I think even Eric Gordon, I think Eric Gordon's going to play too. Drummond, Caleb Martin, I think these guys are going to play. I think they will be playing. I think that's why Philly's favored in this game, because they're expecting these guys to play. Unless something changes dramatically before game time, I expect them to play. Let's look at this game here. So again, I'll open up at 1 this game, and now we are seeing, for this game, it's 1.5. It's gone up to 1.5. And we're seeing a 2, -2. This game here, this is the first meeting of the season between these two teams. Dallas overall, 4-6 last 10 games, 4-5 against the spread, 4-5-1 against the spread, 7-3 to the over. 2-3 last 5 games, Dallas, and they are 4-1 to the over. Philadelphia, 4-6 last 10, 6-4 against the spread, 7-3 to the over. 3-2 last 5 games, Philadelphia. Now all of a sudden they're favorites. They covered 6 straight games as an underdog. Now they're a favorite of 2 points. -2 Philadelphia right now. 2 straight, 4-1. Dallas is on a 5-game road trip. They're 1-2 on the road trip. I'm going to take Philadelphia here. Philadelphia on the money line. I believe they win this game. I believe Philadelphia wins this game. Embiid's back. Seems like the squad's back, and I think they'll do enough to win this game. Again, Dallas has no size up front. There's no size, so they lack size. No AD, Anthony Davis in the lineup. Even though Max Christie's going to play, to me it's not enough. I think Embiid, once he plays, and I believe he will play, I think Philadelphia wins this game. I take him on the money line to win. Dallas going through a little bit of a drought, 2-game drought on the road. They played. Let me see. Yeah, they played Sunday at Cleveland. Then they're now with the trade and all that stuff. I know Luka's out, but and then don't forget, this is a look-ahead game too. They're looking ahead to Boston. Boston's the bigger picture. Kyrie's going back home to Boston, where he played. So I think I can see this as a look-ahead spot as well. Even though they lost 2 straight games, I can see this kind of as a look-ahead spot. So there's another reason why I like Philadelphia here. I like the Sixers. They're in a great position. Philly's lost 2 straight as well, but I believe this is a get-right spot for Philadelphia. And yeah, they've lost 2 at home. On the homestand, they're basically 2-2. I think they win. They get right here with the win. I like the Sixers here. They should be able to take care of business. I like them here. In terms of the total, I'm going to stay away from the total. But I like Philadelphia here. Next game, Brooklyn at Houston. -9 Houston, total 209. Now it's gone up. It's down to 208.5. Yeah, it's come down to 208.5. The spread is still at 9. Actually, you're seeing 8.5s right now. I have a play on this game as well. Houston, Brooklyn. Brooklyn. Ben Simmons is out for Tuesday's game. Cam Johnson out. Cam Thomas out. Bojan Bogdanovic out. On the Houston side for the Rockets, they just played last night. They had a big win against New York. Alperen Seguin, questionable with a calf injury. Jock Landale, questionable with an illness. Fred VanVleet out indefinitely. Jabari Smith out indefinitely. I understand Brooklyn has played last night, but for me, the only way I can look at this, I have to take. Actually, let me look at. Let's look at something else here. Let's look at the overall information here on this game. Houston, Brooklyn. So they did play February 1st. They played, they played a few days ago. Houston played Brooklyn a few days ago in Brooklyn. Sorry, in Houston. They played in Houston a few days ago. Brooklyn won that game. They were 12-point favorites. Houston 12.5. The total was 209. Brooklyn won that game 110-98, and it was under 209. I can see the same thing happening again. I think this stays under the total. I like the under. That's the only thing I'm going to say about this game. I don't think anything's going to change. I like under two. I like the under here. Houston played last night. Brooklyn's rested. That's one factor. So I liked, and the total hasn't really moved. It went down. It was 209 like 48 hours ago, and then now that was February 1st, and then 48 hours later it's 208. So it's gone down. So that's it. That's an indication that that's a factor. Brooklyn played last night, so I like the under here. Under 208.5. That's the way that's how I'm playing. I'm not playing anything. I'm not playing the side or anything. I just like the under 208.5. Next game, Toronto at New York. New York -6, total 230.5. It's come down now to 5.5. Brooklyn, and we're seeing it go down to 5. Total 230. It's at 231.5. Yeah, 231.5. So on the New York side for the Knicks. We have Anunoby questionable with a foot injury. Mitchell Robinson's out. On the Toronto side, Bruce Brown questionable to play, facial, against New York. Jamal Sheed, illness, questionable. So we'll look into this game further. I believe they played 2 or 3 times already. Let's see. Look into this matchup. Yeah, they played 3 times. This is the 4th and final meeting. First meeting was in Toronto. Brooklyn was a 7.5-point favorite. Toronto covered but lost 103-108, under 233. The next 2 games were in New York, the 23rd of December in New York. Knicks were a 13.5-point favorite. Knicks won 139-125 over 227. Third game in New York, January the 8th, last month. Knicks were a 12.5-point favorite, won 112-98, under 232.5. New York last 10, 7-3 at the last 10 games, 5-5 against the spread, and 6-4 to the over. Right now, 4-1 the Knicks last 5 games, and are 4-1 to the over. Toronto 8-2 last 10, 8-2 against the spread, 3-7 to the under, 4-1 last 5 games, and are 1-4 to the under. The only way I can play this game, let me see here. Let me look into this further. Yes, the only way I can play this game is Toronto. Toronto plus the 5.5. It's gone down to 5. The Raptors have covered as an underdog. They have covered 5 straight games. They're a covering machine, and they're doing it with defense. So I like Toronto here to cover the plus 5. I would try to get it at 5.5 as fast as you can, because I see it coming down a little bit to 5. So I'd take Toronto plus the 5, plus 5.5 for me. And as far as the total, no play on the total, just Toronto plus 5.5. Play up to 5 if you have to, but I like, for me, 5.5. That's the only way to play it. They're playing incredibly well. Yes, so the next game that we're going to discuss will be, we'll look at this right now for the next game. Miami at Chicago. That's the next game we're discussing. So Miami's -4, total 228.5. Right now, it's coming down to 3.5. Actually, we're seeing 3.5s and 4.5, so it's all over the place. There's no real structure. It's three, but it's mainly 3.5 right now. Predominantly 3.5. And the total, let's see if that's moved anything. Total's 228. Still the same, 228. Has not moved. Still 228.5. Yeah, still 228.5. But the spread is down to 3.5. That's the only thing that's moved. So look at this game here. This is Miami at Chicago. Jimmy Butler, as you know, still out with the suspension. Josh Richardson, heel, out. Drew Smith, Achilles, out for the season. Chicago side, I think the Bulls are healthy, but let me double check. Nope. Talen Horton-Tucker. His leg won't be playing Tuesday. He's out with a leg injury. Jalen Smith, illness, questionable to play. Torrey Craig is out indefinitely with a leg injury. Let's look at this matchup here. Chicago and Miami. This is the first meeting of the season. Miami 4-6 the last 10 games against other opposition, 3-7 against the spread, 6-4 to the over. Miami right now 3-2 last 5 games, and 2-3 to the under. Chicago 3-7 last 10, 3-7 against the spread, 4-6 to the under. Bulls in a tough situation here. They're off a 3-game road trip. They went 1-2, but they're briefly at home against Miami, and they're back on the road for 1 game against Minnesota, so it's kind of tricky. And you know how I am already. I don't like to back teams coming off a road trip. So right now, the Heat 2-3 last 5 games and are 2-3 to the under. Miami 2-3 to the under as well. Yeah, the only way I can look in this game, I'd have to look at the under. That's the only play I have. Under the 220. Let's verify this again. 228.5. I gotta look at the under. Under's gotta be the play for me. 228.5. Both teams are trending to the under. So I like that's the play I'm gonna go with. Yeah, it's the only way I can look in this game. That's it. You may want to look at some Vucevic props, over 1.5 3-pointers for Vucevic. Maybe look at some props. I'll be looking at some props tomorrow. Tyler Hero props, Bam Bam props. So I'll be looking at those tomorrow. Obviously, the numbers have not come up for that, but we are going to have another episode, another show for player props, the top player props for these games tomorrow. That's in the next video, so keep an eye out for that. But for now, for the game itself, under 228.5, Miami, Chicago. That's what I like. Next game, Clippers, Lakers, -6 Clippers at home. 216.5. Right now we're seeing it go, it's 7.5, but we're seeing a few 8s come up on the board. And it's gone all the way to 220. 220.5, 221. That's the consensus right now. So on the Clippers side, Norman Powell questionable with a hip injury. Chris Dunn questionable with a knee injury. Lakers side, Luka Doncic out. Now playing. Christian Wood out. So we look at this game head to head. That's Clippers. I believe Clippers and Lakers have played already. Let's see. 7-3 last 10 games. Actually, they played already. Yes, they played last month. Excuse me, in LA at the new arena, Clippers home arena. So they played about 2 weeks ago, and Clippers were 4.5-point favorites. They covered 116 to 102. Clippers won that game and it went over 216.5. So that was the first game. Now this game, of course, has gone up to 220 by 4 points. Lakers last 10 games 8-2 the last 10, 6-3-1 against the spread, 6-4 to the over. So Lakers so far are 4-1 the last 5 games and are 4-1 to the over. Clippers 6-4 last 10, 6-4 against the spread, 6-4 to the over. Clippers back off a 4-game road trip. They went 2-2 and 3-2 overall last 5 games and are 4-1 to the over. Yeah, the only way I can play this game, Lakers Clippers. There are two. I have 2 plays on this. There's a reason why. This is one play I can give you, and there's a reason why. There's 2 reasons why I like this play. Clippers Lakers. I like over. It's at 2. I think we said 220. So we're seeing 220.5. Yeah, so we're seeing 220.5. So I like the over 220.5. I do like that a lot. 220.5 is what I like. I like that play. So, yeah, I like that play a lot. 220.5. I think that's the way to go. Over 220.5. Like I said, the reason why is because both teams are playing to the over, 4-1 in their last 5 games. And secondly, in the last meeting when they played, it was at 216.5 and it went over. And now all of a sudden it went up by 4 points to 220.5. That's another reason why I like the over. So it's moving in the right direction. So I like this play a lot here. Over 220.5. The next game we have here, and this is the final game, Indiana and Portland. -5 Indiana, total 231.5. Both teams played last night, so they're on a back. Both teams on a back-to-back. And the line right now, we're seeing 5.5s come up right now. And the total is at 232.5, 233 is where it's at right now. So we'll get the injury report for both teams. Indiana, Miles Turner, questionable with the ankle injury. Isaiah Jackson, Achilles, is out. James Wiseman is out. On the Portland slide, for the Blazers, Matisse Thybulle, he is out indefinitely. Now on the Portland side, this is the final game for the night. So on the Blazers side, we see they've already played once already. They played early in the season in Indiana. This was November 27th last year. Indiana was a 9.5-point favorite. Total was 232. Portland did cover the 9.5. However, Indiana won 121-114 as a 9.5-point underdog. It's a 9.5-point favorite. Portland covered. Indiana won, and they went over the total 232. So this game here is up to 233. So I have 2 plays on this game. Actually, one play. I have one play on this game. One play, excuse me. So Indiana 8-2 last 10, 6-4 to the against the spread, 5-5 over under. Indiana's won 4 straight games. They've won 4 straight. They've covered two out of the 4 games they've covered. And the over-under, it's 4-1 to the over, Indiana, right now. 4-1 to the over last 5 games. And 4-1 last 5 games overall. Portland, 8-2 last 10, 9-1 against the spread, 5-4-1 to the over. Portland's won 4 straight games. And they have covered 9 straight games, Blazers. They covered 9 straight overall. And they are 3-1-1 to the over. I gotta back the Blazers. I know both teams played last night, but I have to back Portland. They're on an incredible streak. They're really killing it on the homestand. 4-1 on the homestand. 5 straight on the homestand. They are 5 straight overs, or 5 straight covers as a dog on the homestand, alone on the homestand. So they've done an amazing job. They've done extremely well. So I gotta back Portland here. It's plus 5. I saw 5.5. So if you see the take the 5.5. Gotta grab the 5.5 here. It's come down. Yeah, it's 5.5. Take plus 5.5. Grab that number. That's all I can say about that game. Gotta ride the Blazers here. Plus 5.5. That's the play to make for me, in my opinion. Remember, Indiana has to travel from Utah all the way down to Portland. Portland just has to stay home, and they're playing back to back. So I gotta. That's the reason why I like Portland, and they're hot right now. Don't want to go in front of them. But that does it for the show. Thank you very much for tuning in to Beat the Number, NBA Morning Edition. My name is Abby. We do this each and every day, each and every morning. Whether you fade or follow, it's up to you. Again, I just choose the plays and make the picks that how I see fit and how I look at it and how I view it. Either way, I hope you cash your ticket, whatever you do. Stay true to yourself, stay blessed, stay humble, believe in yourself. Peace. And don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button for more information and more plays and picks for the over-unders, the totals, and the spreads and the sides. Again, we'll see you for the next video. We're going to be doing the top NBA player props and other plays on the side and total as well. All right, take care. Have a good one.